I also believe on that kill. It was a reward, and also it's a history from us here on World F. It really takes us into the sky. I believe so. And more on that, as I said, when you join us, we would like to share a little bit more with the sighting, especially with the population of the elephant that is around here. Many sighting of an elephant.
They have. Rex, the sightings have been great. This week has been spectacular. I'm just very worried for the next time that I'm going to jump in front of the camera presenting. It's hard to compete with Rex, and fortunately he'll be on camera to assist me and back me up the whole way, so I'm sure I'll be able to provide, but it's going to be hard to compete with what Rexon's been showing over the last week. It really has. There's been a lot of leopard sightings, but there's been a lot of elephant activity through the area, a lot of different herds and a lot of different behavior. We had some awesome elephant behavior. Can you remember yesterday, Rexon, at the Gary Waterhole?
Yeah.
Youngsters on their back with their legs up in the air, mud all over the place. They were in their element, so they were loving it. And you could actually just see that they were actually taking full advantage of the situation there.
Yeah, really, for sure. It was an amazing day. And at Gary Waterhole, it was really amazing. And we have few, sighting too. I remember yesterday when we get to Mamba Road, remember the young bull that really showing, he was really becoming on Mars.
Yeah.
And that kind of, can you tell us more a little bit about why this young elephant bull doing that?
It was very interesting to be part of that. I remember arriving in that sighting and looking at that female and the young bull. The young bull was roughly the same size as an adult female, so he was quite a youngster. And just seeing their behavior when we first arrived, they were very relaxed, very calm, and giving us all the indications that they were happy with our presence. And then he just came right up to our vehicle and had a bit of a sniff around and started to tell us that, trying to show us who's boss. And, we stood our ground, as you do, and we didn't. We pretty much just sat there and let him investigate us and show him that we're not a threat, and he eventually just headed off and carried on minding his own business. But there have been quite a few interesting sightings with elephants. I know that there's been some concern over the past week with regards to the elephant's activity and how we approach the sighting. And I think that's an interesting thing for us to talk about, Rex. I can absolutely understand from another person's point of view to sit and watch and see the elephants respond, and it may seem as if it was an antagonizing situation, but I think what is very important is that people understand that this is our lives. The last thing we want to do is to go and make trouble with these animals. We spend every day with them,
and this is our future. Remember,
Absolutely.
you'll never ever do something wrong in something that you believe and hope is the future of the area.
Yeah, no, it has been. We had a situation of a young bull running down the road, and I remember watching in the FCC, the whole herd had moved to the one side of the road, and this young bull, he was quite young. He must have been in his early teens. He was quite relaxed. He had a branch stuck in his mouth. He looks like he was very content. He was just chewing away. You could actually see the branch just rolling around in his mouth. And then when Rexon started up the car, I think he got a bit spooked. And it's animal behavior, that does happen. And he took off down the road. And you slowly roll down the road heading in that direction. And it may appear, and I can understand from viewing it on a screen, that's as if the vehicle was actually chasing him. But it's something that we strive for out over here. This is our future, the natural environment, and it's very important for us to maintain a sustainable way that we approach wildlife out over here. It's important for wildlife to understand that we're a non-threatening presence, and I think it's an ethical approach that's almost every ranger approaches out here. I know there are a few guides out there that will push it to get that excitement for their guests, but fortunately with us we have the beauty of a zoom lens. You
Yeah,
can
for
take
sure.
people a lot closer than you actually do get.
Uh,
But yeah, it's been an interesting turn of events with
Very
the
interesting.
elephants out
And
here.
the one thing with an elephant, Marco, for sure, a breeding head of elephant, sometimes you can off-road in an area where you can see it's safe. There's no much trees that you can push down. Breeding head of elephant, a lot more sensitive, and anything that make noise, rattling, is a vehicle coming. And also you have to introduce yourself while the engine is running. You won't roll down without the quiet engine. The whole head must turn back and charge the vehicle, because we introduce ourselves while the engine running and they get used to. And sometimes with those teenagers, the young ones, if you start the vehicle and start to move, sometimes they're in the mode of playing, they like to do that. It's not because we are pushing the situation and so on. I mean, we just want to make this clear and everyone to understand. It's something that can happen,
And
every day.
And it's actually very interesting, Erickson. I've been in a few situations working in the area that we do work along the western boundary of the Kruger National Park. We often have animals heading in from the Kruger Park into the private reserves in the Sabi Sands. Now, in the Sabi Sands, you tend to have smaller blocks of land, a block of land, i.e. being a piece of land that doesn't have a road running through it, smaller blocks of land. So the animals out in this environment tend to view and experience vehicles a lot more than they would in the Kruger National Park. But you can only view those animals with a qualified and trained game ranger who is trained in the way that he understands animal behavior, and he has an ethical approach to the way that he approaches animals. In the Kruger Park, of course, it's very different. It's open to the general public, and you can't drive off-road in those areas. So in those massive blocks of land, and this is something that I found very interesting, and it's actually a beautiful situation, that in these massive blocks of land, you often find animals, specifically buffalo and large herds of elephants, that don't necessarily encounter vehicles often. So they're not familiar with vehicle presence.
Really?
So it's a new presence. It's something that they don't really understand. And as any creature on this planet, if they see something you don't understand, you're a little bit cautious, a little bit wary, protective, definitely protective over your young, and that's natural behavior, and it's beautiful to observe that. But what is very interesting is the herds that come out and stay in this area in the Sabi Sands is how relaxed they are around our vehicles. They know we're not a non-threatening presence.
Amazing.
They know that we are neutral. We don't try and chase the females, or we don't try and fight with the males
or creating
females
such of activity.
Exactly. And over time, these herds that move from these large blocks of land in the Kruger National Park that come into the Sabi Sands, they at first a little bit uncertain of the vehicle's presence, but over time they start to realize that this large, big green animal with funny heads all over the place and round legs actually isn't a threat. But it does take a while for them to understand that, and it's very important for guides and anyone working in this environment to understand that, so that we can develop a strong relationship with wildlife. And I think the Sabi Sands is a prime example of how guides over a 30-year period of time have had very strong ethical approach to the way that they deal with animals and approach animals in a way that has earned animals' trust. And now we can view animals up close and personal, and allow us to actually get quite intimate with the animal's behavior, and that's almost proving that animals don't need to fear us. It's only something that's happened over time with hunting and history and so on. And now with our conservation and approach to animals realize that we're not as much of a threat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just on that way. As Marco said, I believe this was our last more info about the elephant, I believe, Marco. And exactly, really for sure, what Mark's saying is what around an area, how we approach the animal around the area. As we just want to say it like this, we have all these professional guiding around in the area which are qualified for the certain qualifications to make them to operate around in South Central Juma. So it's true. Do you have something to say about more sightings, elephant or anything?